Welcome into Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. We've got Seahawks news, rumors, injury updates, COVID-19 updates, Week 17 previews, a lot to talk about with the Seattle Seahawks. And you might be saying, why are we even talking about Week 17? Because the Seahawks are eliminated from the playoffs, but head coach Pete Carroll does believe that there still is a reason to play and play hard. He says, we're going to do everything to keep our focus on playing this week. Just do 1 week at a time and just keep rolling. Our approach has always been set up for whatever the circumstances bring, and in this regard, it's no different. So are the Seahawks still playing to win? I imagine that they are, and I understand that this is a topic that comes up with teams with a losing record towards the end of the season. They start talking about, hey, are they going to actually try to win, or are they going to lose to get a better draft pick? Now, if you remember, Seahawks don't even have a first-round draft pick because they gave theirs to the Jets during the Jamal Adams trade. Even if they did, though, I just don't see the Seahawks playing to lose. There's a lot of guys on this team that are going to be fighting for a roster spot. There's a reason they are 5-10. That means that change is going to come. So a lot of these guys are going to need to prove themselves in these last two games. So the Seahawks take on the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Seahawks are favorites, -7.5. That's probably the highest Seattle has been favored all season long. And I do think that they can win this game. I know it doesn't really matter, but I think it matters just for the confidence of this organization, for this coaching staff, for these veterans. I do think that Seahawks can end up winning this game. I do think that they will. And you know what's funny is head coach Pete Carroll gave a fun fact during his press conference. He was a little upset no one asked him this question, but Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, he was actually Pete Carroll's first draft pick in the NFL. When Pete Carroll was with the Jets, he drafted Aaron Glenn in the first round. Now Aaron Glenn is the defensive coordinator at the Lions. Aaron Glenn, it's his first defensive coordinator job. He was the defensive backs coach in New Orleans for a few years, and then when Dan Campbell went over to Detroit, he followed him along. So funny how the NFL works and the ties there. So we aren't going to talk too much about this Lions game, but I do want you guys to predict the score. Week 17, Seahawks versus Lions. What do you think it's going to be? This is our pinned comment, so if you do get the ad break right here, now is the time. Get your votes in. Let me know what you think it's going to turn out to be. We've got some injury updates for you guys. The first one being running back Adrian Peterson. Did you forget about him? Yes, he is still on the Seahawks, but he is now officially on IR. Seahawks put him on IR after he has been dealing with a back injury. He's been on the practice squad for the last few weeks. He only appeared in that one game. He did score one touchdown during his opening debut, but he got hurt, hasn't played since, been on the practice squad. So now Adrian Peterson's season has ended due to the fact that he will be put on IR. Sticking with running backs, Alex Collins. He was on the COVID-19 list. He is now officially off the COVID-19 list. We're going to talk more COVID stuff, but he is also still dealing with his own injury. Pete Carroll is saying that he believes that he could get back ready to go by Sunday. Of course, we'll keep you updated on Alex Collins. We do have more Wednesday did not practice updates. DK Metcalf did not practice dealing with that foot injury. Gabe Jackson with a knee. Brandon Shell with a shoulder. Dwayne Brown just resting veteran. Poona Ford, he has that concussion, did not practice. Al Woods with the shoulder injury. John Radican with a knee. And Carlos Dunlap, also a resting veteran. Alex Collins was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice, so at least somewhat positive news there. We do have COVID-19 updates for you, but first I'm going to tell you something that's actually positive, and that is the Seahawks hat sale that we've got going on over at Fanatics. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, you can get up to 50% off on like really cool Seahawks gear. This is Seahawks beanies, Seahawks throwback hats. There's a hat online for like $9.99. This is the time. Go and get it, because after the New Year's, all these sites, they take off their sales. So right now is the time to go get that holiday gift that you may have not gotten this year. It's chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. All right, on to COVID-19 updates. Some positive news for Seattle. DJ Reed, Alex Collins, and Brian Monet, they are all three officially off the COVID-19 list, as well as practice squad Mike Jackson. Unfortunately, Bless Austin and LJ Collier, they are still on the COVID-19 list. However, it is early in the week, so I expect honestly all of these guys to clear in time for Sunday's game, especially the NFL just changed their protocol. It is now a 5-day isolation. instead of a 10-day isolation. But as we still talk COVID, I've got some COVID-19 updates for you over here at Chat Sports. Producer Sam is on the COVID-19 list here at Seahawks Today. However, he is at home right now producing this video. So shout out to Sam for being on the COVID-19 list and still doing his job. So guys, give Sam some love in the comments. Tell him that you hope he feels better soon. Go right now. Let him know that you appreciate him working hard even though he has COVID-19. All right, time to talk Bobby Wagner. Obviously, as the Seahawks season winds down, we are going to start thinking about 2022, what the Seahawks plan is. One of their best defensive players, Bobby Wagner, who has also performed really well this year, even though maybe he's not in his prime anymore. He's still leading the league in tackles. The question becomes whether or not Bobby Wagner is going to be a Seattle Seahawk next year. He was asked about this during a press conference, and he said, you think about what next year looks like and just period what the future holds. This was a season that I don't think we all planned for. We didn't plan for the season to go this way. Obviously, there will be some changes. Whether or not I am a part of those changes, I do not know. Now, Bobby Wagner, again, still very impressive in 2021. 170 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception. He was just one of 2 guys from the Seattle Seahawks that made it to the Pro Bowl this year. It was him and Quandre Diggs. But Bobby Wagner becomes a free agent in 2023. So the reason we're even talking about Bobby Wagner being a Seattle Seahawk next year is just because of the money that it's going to cost to keep him. Right now, he's slated to earn $16.3 million next year. The cap hit is at $20 million and $35. So Bobby Wagner is obviously an expensive player to keep on the roster, but it makes sense. He's a really good defensive guy who's proven himself. He isn't in his prime anymore, but still somehow leading the league in tackles. So the question becomes whether or not the Seahawks can afford to keep him and what their alternatives would be if they did not want to keep Bobby Wagner. So what they could do is maybe keep him, trade him, or cut him. Now, if they cut him, they would obviously be left with like $3.75 million in dead cap space. They would trade him, maybe figure out a good deal there, or keep him till his contract expires. So I do ask you guys this: what is the best move for the Seattle Seahawks? Type K for keep, T for trade, or C for cut. And this is why you subscribe to Seahawks Today, by the way, because even though the Seahawks 2021 season might be over, there's still a lot going on in Seattle. Of course, there's going to be Russell Wilson trade rumors, Pete Carroll rumors, a lot more happening in Seattle. So if you have not already, make sure you go and subscribe to our channel. You can hit that big red button, do whatever is easiest, but make sure you are updated on all things Seahawks. Back to Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner set the new Seahawks single-season tackle record with 170 tackles. Want to know who held it before? Bobby Wagner. He beat his own record, so he obviously still has a reason to be in this league and getting paid what he does. He has definitely earned that right. He is the 5th most tackles in a season in NFL history, guys. Right now, the only people above him is Gerard Mayo in 2010 with 174 tackles. Patrick Willis in 2007 with 174. You've got Jonathan Vilma in 2005 with 173. Vontaze Burfict, 2013, 171. And then in 5th place right there is Bobby Wagner, 170. Still 2 more games left in the season. I could easily see Wagner jumping up on this list. Now, however, when Bobby Wagner was asked about breaking this new record, it didn't sound as positive as you may think. He said, the downside is how long we were out there on the field. Now, that has been a problem for the Seattle Seahawks all season long. It's time of possession. Their defense is worn out. They have lost the time of possession battle in almost every game. It's been really hard for the defense. The offense just not staying out there long enough. So I understand Wagner's point where it's like, hey, it's great that we've gotten these tackles and it's great that we have been able to accomplish this. However, it unfortunately means that our offense was not on the field long enough. Now, another guy that is also leading the league in tackles is Seahawks Jordan Brooks. You look at this list right now, obviously Bobby Wagner, number 1. Foye, he's at 166, number 2. Jordan Brooks, though, number 3 with 156. This is a guy that I love a lot. You look at this list of guys, and Roquan Smith, CJ Mosley, these are all top players in this league, defensive players in this league. Now, Jordan Brooks is still really young, and he is not far behind Bobby Wagner. That's really impressive to me, and I think the Seahawks are going to get a lot out of him years to come. He's only going to improve, develop more, and I think that him being around Bobby Wagner has probably been very helpful. So whether or not Bobby Wagner comes back next year, I do think that Jordan Brooks probably learned a lot after watching him. Now, the Seahawks PR put out a photo earlier today saying that Jordan Brooks can become the first player since Zach Thomas in 2004 with 10 plus tackles in 8 straight games. So there's clearly 2 more games to go. He could definitely do this. He right now ranks 3rd in the NFL. So I'm counting on Jordan Brooks. That's one of the things that I'm going to be watching for in these last 2 games. You've got to find things to watch for. Even though the Seahawks are not making it to the playoffs, there's still some fun to be had.